I'm Rod Slasher Brezza, here with MLG CEO and founder Sundance DiGiovanni, and we're at day 3 MLG Columbus 2012. So I'm going to talk to you about how the event went this weekend and some of the announcements you just made and how that is going to affect the future. Right before we get into all of that, I heard you chipped your tooth on an olive at the beginning of the event, and it is hurting you so far. Are you okay?
No, I'm not. I'm dying a little bit from the pain. I cracked my tooth. There was a salad, and the olive had a pit in it, when the rest of them didn't. And of course, now I've been, in pain ever since. But that's all right.
Well, I'll make sure that there's tons of memes tomorrow about pits and olives, and they're all wishing you welcome to get better, and it'll cheer you up, that I hope. So now we're in day 3, MLG Columbus. How has the event gone overall for you?
Well, other than the tooth thing, it's been great, actually. The Halo crowd definitely showed up, lots of energy there. The fighting game crowd, not the size that we expect it to be at future events, but really great matches. Got to watch some Mortal Kombat just earlier in SoulCal, and it's good to have it back. We've talked about this a lot, but we've missed fighting games on the circuit, and I think the response has been pretty good, and it's a good building block. And then, of course, the StarCraft competition has been it's been insane. The bracket is loaded. The matches have been really, really good so far. In fact, if we were looking at it earlier and we're just kind of going through the winners and losers and looking at all the players who are here, it feels stacked. It felt like our championship last year, actually, just the pure talent that's in that bracket.
Let's start off with Halo. There's a lot of speculation this might be the last Halo event, or they didn't step it up and get the teams here, and the community didn't support and watch online. Have you been able to see what kind of viewership you've had online and the amount of teams that have been here? How do you feel about Halo's future right now?
Well, Halo, we're tied to tied together at the hip with Halo a bit, because that's where we built a lot of what we have using Halo as a foundation. This event has been a success, I'd say. It's too soon to point to what we're going to do next. With Halo for the next event. But no matter what, even if Halo takes an event off or 2 events off, it's going to be back. It's going to be a part of our future, so long as we're able to, have the relationship and the partnership in place that we want with both Microsoft and 343. And we feel good about that. We are talking with them, and we are working towards the future with Halo 4 and beyond. But for this weekend, I just kind of seeing the teams up there and seeing everybody play the game, with the new settings has been great.
Do you find any decision making around Halo to be even much more tougher than any other game because of the history and the kind of even personal experiences you have with it?
Yeah. I mean, I've been so heavily involved in that community for so long. It's difficult to kind of eliminate some of the emotional pieces and just be making business decisions. But at the end of the day, it's my job to make sure that what I do provides an opportunity for that game to be here either today, or if there's a company that's strong enough to be around in the future, so the game can make a comeback should it not be on the circuit for a stop or two. It's just the challenge is that there's potential, what's possible, but it's not up to me knowing. It's up to the community. It's up to the viewership. It's up to the people who are buying passes and competing. And at a certain point, you just kind of have to go with that. You can't convince yourself to do something. You've just got to use the information available and make the right decision.
Fighting games made a return to the MLG circuit this year after taking a year off. Last year, Mortal Kombat 9, Soul Calibur 5, and King of Fighters 13. You said it's been a little less than what you've expected, and what I've seen seems to say the same thing. Mortal Kombat 9 is going on now, and it's actually seems to probably have matched the hype going in. But what are your general impressions of how fighting games have gone so far?
Well, for the amount of time that the community had and the spectators had, the competitors had, I think it's done well. I think, like I said, we're committed to making fighters work this year. So this first event is the first step. Hopefully each event gets better and better, and we reach a point where we're at full capacity for all the games we run. The lineup of games that we have right now there's a lot of money, for grabs on those titles. So, Mortal Kombat had a strong showing. Soul Cal did pretty well. King of Fighters was a little light, but again, the timing was tough. It was announced late. So I think, what we'll see when we go out west, hopefully, is a much stronger turnout because there'll be more time to prepare. And hopefully people have seen the show that we put on and they're appreciative of it and they want to support us back.
So do you expect those fighting titles to return to the next event?
Absolutely. We're with those games. It would be foolish of me not to give these games more than one event. We're committed to making this work, and you're going to see them this year for sure.
So StarCraft 2, of course, is the first big event for the pro circuit season this weekend, as in Winter Championships. A lot of hype coming off the MLG Championships last year at Providence, a lot of expectations coming in this year. Has the StarCraft 2 tournament itself matched your expectations going in?
Yeah, it's when we opened up to see that, again, we've got a lot more chairs out there this year and a lot more surface area for people to be in the audience, and the opening was pretty incredible just with the response from that community. The support and the appreciation is something that it was moving, to be honest with you. And so then to watch and talk to the players and to kind of interact with a lot of the teams and the people who are here, minus one or two people, we have an incredibly stacked lineup, and to see how it's playing out, to see essentially 7 of the top 8 from our winter arena in that position again, it starts to show you what can happen when you have more regular competition at this level. That arena was just a few short weeks ago, and to be here in this position to have those players playing again, it's great, and we want to do more of that, and we're going to do more of that.
There's some speculation going into this event beforehand that this might be able to break some attendance records compared to how many people were to show up for the fighting games, what kind of attendance that StarCraft would turn out. Can you give some insight if things did break any records, or if it at least matched the biggest events of last year?
I think Anaheim last year for us, we had a ton of Blizzard employees roll out, so there were a lot of people in that room. Plus, just we did really well for West Coast Stop. We've had great attendance. We've had really good online transactions around the premium viewing experience. We've sold a ton of T-shirts and mouse pads and all the other gear that we've got. Everything is going well. We'll have the numbers probably tomorrow midday in terms of what the total, through the door spectator numbers are. But I think while this one's great, I have a feeling that the next event's going to be substantially larger.
Can you give the same type of insight for the live viewership for this weekend, either compared to Columbus of last year or to the Providence National Championships?
We're right behind Providence. I mean, from the viewer perspective, we have a different game lineup, right? So StarCraft is where it always is. Halo, I think, is doing a little bit better than we saw it do, mid-season last year. And the fighting games, we didn't know what to expect. As everybody knows, there's some folks in that community who don't trust us to do the right thing. But those numbers have been encouraging, and I think that they'll continue to get better. So all in, I mean, it's a pretty standard event. I think the big thing for us is that we've seen the growth, day to day today, and so tonight around the championship time, when we've got StarCraft 2 and Halo wrapping up, that's when you're going to see those spikes when people suddenly turn off March Madness and tune in, or whatever else they're doing. But so far, no complaints with the attendance, no complaints with the viewership. We're serving all the ads we need to. We're doing better with our sell-through there. We're off. I mean, if this is any indicator for the type of year we're going to have, we're in a really, really good position.
This event is the same along with last year, where there was a free low-quality stream and there is a high-quality stream where you can get HD quality and instant VOD access, et cetera. Has sales for that pass been consistent what you've wanted?
Best sales ever, actually. We offered that stuff last year as well as gold membership. And this weekend, the sales numbers have been really, really strong. which is encouraging. And we've got people messaging me direct on Twitter saying that they're buying it for the fighting games to support or for Halo. But again, StarCraft 2 is really a primary driver for us there, and with the work we put into the player and the multi-screen and being able to watch multiple streams at one time, it makes sense. I mean, it's a good experience, and so we're happy to see that it's being well received.
This Pro Circuit event makes a debut with some sponsors like BenQ, iBuyPower, SteelSeries, among others. Have you been able to talk with them about how their experiences have been for their first MLG and how they felt about it?
Yeah, well, the first time a sponsor ever walks into our room, they're a little blown away by it. The community, one of the great things about the community and the reason why we're so successful with our sponsors is our events are set up in a way where you get great interaction and the activities that are set up for the sponsors are pretty meaningful, right? Whether it's an autograph signing or Play a Pro or whatever it may be. So we're excited for what we have with the current sponsors that, the repeat sponsors, but the new guys who are coming in and kind of getting their feet wet. First event, they always come in thinking they've got a plan, and then they see, wow, we need to do more of this, we need to do more of that. So I think, so far there's a lot of excitement for going back to the drawing board and adding more and doing more for the community, more for the fans. So, but so far everybody's really happy, which is great.
So, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, you just made an announcement that officially Anaheim will be the location for the second Pro Circuit event, which a lot of people kind of assume through various tweets and things that have been said in multiple podcasts around the community, and that you've announced the format for the StarCraft 2 spring season, which includes 2 online tournaments, 2 events at the New York City offices, and then the spring championships inside of Anaheim. So there's a lot of details to go into it, but basically, why did you decide to go back to Anaheim? Obviously, it was the biggest event of last year. I assume this was a no-brainer.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're working really closely with Blizzard, and we saw the success we had there last year. There was an opportunity to do something which strung together with E3. So there's going to be some more announcements that are going to be coming out in terms of some activations and activities that we're looking to do. But that's a big week, right? The gaming world, you've got E3 then leading into our event, just a little north. So you look at that and you say, well, geez, but, go get a bus, load a bunch of people onto it, bring them up, show them our show. It's a great sales opportunity, great opportunity to introduce new people to the brand and to the scene in general. I think Anaheim is one you can just count on for a while. I think based on what we have planned this year and some of the stuff that we're talking to Blizzard about doing, some of our other partners and some of the other games that might make an appearance there, you can expect a pretty incredible event again. And so I'm looking forward to it. I don't dread going west anymore. I'm actually looking forward to it.
So while last year it was also near E3, but there wasn't a whole lot done with that event, you could say that this year there will be some tie-in to that major trade show?
Well, that's the goal. I mean, I can't officially announce it or comment on it, but we have something in the works which we think will be cool that'll leverage that whole week. And again, take what we do really well and then insert that into an activity which is a kind of broader, broader audience base within the gaming world. So, our events are very big in terms of the amount of traffic and the amount of attention that they get online. And E3 is obviously, from a gaming perspective, that and the 2 PAX events are the biggest things out there for trade show wise and kind of for the publishers. So there was just a great opportunity to layer something in there, and we'll hopefully be finalizing that in the next few days. But it's going to be good. It's going to be good for the fans. It's going to be really, really good for some of the players. And I think it'll be great for us, give us some more exposure and an opportunity to do more of what we love.
So you mentioned working with Blizzard a little bit more, and then they've also announced this year there will be no BlizzCon in Anaheim, which leaves a little bit of a hole, which they normally hold at the Anaheim Convention Center, just like MLG Anaheim. Did that have something to do with their plans and planning for this MLG Anaheim event?
Well, I think we're giving them an opportunity, right? I mean, we have a proven showcase floor where people who love their games come out. So, we're able to hopefully give some of the folks who'll be, missing BlizzCon some stuff to smile about. But that stuff will come together in the next couple of weeks. The great thing is that our relationship with Blizzard is better than it's ever been. We're planning on doing a lot of new stuff with them this year, and really excited to get into it and just evolve this even further because they are incredibly engaged and incredibly supportive of our brand of esports and competitive gaming. And I think that that's what you want. We want to be able to have a very transparent and very open relationship and have a dialogue with them continuously. So, as they look at no BlizzCon and what that means and what we are going to be doing in the venue where they used to hold BlizzCon every year, we can give them a little something, and then they'll be back next year with BlizzCon. Then, we're already talking about what we might be doing around that.
Well, MLG uses about one of the big halls for the Anaheim event, while BlizzCon uses about 4 of the halls, the entire floor, some of the second floor. Can you give an estimation of maybe how many halls you might use?
I have no idea. Square footage will be about 40 or 50,000 more square feet than we have here.
Does that just tie in for spectatorship, or does that also include the production side of things?
There's just a lot of other stuff going on this year in Anaheim for us. That's all I can say at the moment.
All right, so then going into this Anaheim event, you release details for the qualifier system that goes into that, which includes 2 online StarCraft 2 events and then 2 events in person. Starting with the online portion, it is announced that you're working with Blizzard and the Grandmaster Ladder, which to my knowledge is the first time that any league has ever officially partnered with Blizzard in terms of using their ladder system to tie in directly to a tournament. So can you explain how that came about?
Well, we're good partners, and we share a common goal, right? And so the common goal is to leverage the existing infrastructure in a way to keep the engagement high and to reward people who consistently perform well. So we're going to leverage their system, and we're going to pull directly from it, and once again create an opportunity for people to qualify globally, and it's exciting because it's yet another step in the relationship with them. That plus the open component of allowing people who, so it's not just an invite, but having both is important to us because, there are superstars out there waiting to be found, and so giving them an opportunity to play their way in is important. Plus rewarding people who perform at these events. Our goal is to have a structure where it's not just the point system where, you can place well once and milk it, where you're invited back and you are winning an opportunity and you're being rewarded by your performance to play as a professional, meaning you're brought out, there's prize money, it's, all you worry about is competing. And we think that can extend to the ladder system as well. So we're excited to see how that happens. We're excited to see the activity around it, and we think it'll be really well received.
Does Blizzard want to use the ladder system more in terms of the official competitions for at least MLG?
I think Blizzard is open to all kinds of ideas. I mean, what they want is they want people engaging in the activity, right? And so the ladder system exists. Creating a sub-ladder system or creating some new system, there's no real point to that when you have surface area to work off of. Now, especially if you start to get to a place where you've got maps and settings to your liking, then you've really got something. So we're working closely with them to make sure that this is something that will work for them and for us, but most importantly for the competitors.
So the 2 events in person, which would run just like the MLG Winter Arena in New York City, again were announced for the offices, I assume, in New York City once again. So there's 2 announced this time before the Spring Championship instead of 1 of the Winter Championship. Do you expect there to be 2 for each championship going further?
I think the idea right now is to get to a place where we have enough recurring, meaningful gameplay without oversaturating. And there's no saying that at some point we might not be doing arenas around other games, but this is a model that we think it gives us a nice ebb and flow and a nice cadence to our season. So for now, this is spring, and we're going to deal with spring, and then we'll deal with summer. But again, summer will be the decisions made for the summer arena will be informed. Arenas will be informed by what happens in spring. But you could very easily imagine, this being a structure that we just continue with, especially if it goes as well as we think it will.
So it will only be StarCraft 2 for the Spring Championship.
That's all we're announcing at the moment is the StarCraft 2 Spring Arenas.
So we mentioned the last time we talked to each other at the end of the New York Winter Arena that will most likely be pay-per-view model, similar model for the next championships. Will that continue?
We have a pay-per-view as well as we have different plans that we're working towards. We're going to announce that stuff a little bit later on once we get through this event. We don't want to muddy the water by putting too much stuff out there, but we also want people to save the dates essentially and know that we're doing that we got these plans. The goal for us is to again, run a healthy business. So as we've seen, we can have an arena and we can get support and sell passes to people for those arenas. There's also other opportunities for us to explore advertising or partnerships and title sponsorships, perhaps, which would dramatically reduce the cost for those arenas. I mean, the goal is just to balance things out. I think you'll see us experiment with different pricing around the arenas and with different packages to give people access to the arenas for a flat fee.
But we do expect there to be at least some type of fee to watch the event.
Yeah, yes.
What type of different packages are you thinking of doing? Does this include each day by day or entire weekend, or maybe there's some type of affiliation along with it?
That stuff is going to be, that'll be announced in one fell swoop. I don't want to have it come out as a trickle. And there's been a lot of thought put into what the different packages will look like, what the different viewer experiences need to be for people both here in Europe or in Asia. So what we're trying to do is, look, it's no secret that there was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of pricing and packaging confusion around what we had in the past. And there's been a lot of jokes made about how we've transitioned out of that. But the fact is that we're going to make every effort to get it right this time and to come out with something that it's equitable both to the consumer but also to what we're trying to do as a business, and that affords us the opportunity to get these players playing at the high level and to be compensated for that. So the packages that we have are going to be tailored to the type of activity that we've seen from the community, whether that's the competitors who use our competition platform, or the people who just want to be consumers of video content, or the people who want the discounts on the merchandise or on the competitor or spectator passes at our live events, because those are distinct subsets of our broader audience. Or people who only care about StarCraft or only care about Halo or only care about some other game that we may not have announced yet. We have to be thinking about all those things. And that's really where it gets complicated for us. So rather than have too much confusion, we're going to take everything back for a minute, come up with some pricing and some packaging that we think addresses each of those groups, and then just live with it, go from there.
The Spring Championships will continue to be just like the Pro Circuit event now and have in the past, and they will be free with a pay option as well.
Oh yeah. No, as I've said, and I will continue. Like, this is not changing. Not everything we do is going to be pay to play. Right? It can't be. We don't want that. We have no desire to do that. We want to have accessible content. Even the arena content will be made available after a window to people who haven't paid. It's not a question of walling things off. It's a question of covering costs and being able to grow the opportunity. And the community has shown us that they support that. As much as there might be some people who are going to be vocal against it, they still have their opportunity to see everything a week later for free in high quality. However, it's up to the consumer to decide. What we're going to do is continue to provide great events, great competition, and a place for these players to come and play on the biggest stage in the world.
What is the current status of other games going forward for the Pro Circuit season? Right now you have the fighting games, you have Halo, and you have StarCraft. The one that comes out to me the most is the MOBA genre, including League of Legends, Dota 2, Blizzard Dota, Heroes of Newerth. Would you have anything on that end?
We're working on that. We're going to have, I think it's safe to assume that you'll see us doing something in that space before the end of the year. We're in talks to have somebody join us in Anaheim, but we're not going to do a deal that puts us into a non-sustainable situation. It's got to be the right deal for both sides and for the community and for the players. So, I'm hoping that in the next 5 days or so, we'll get that nailed down.
I mean, you have mentioned Anaheim again. I guess I have to bring it up. Blizzard has their own Dota version, and you say there might be some things with Blizzard. Any possibility of Blizzard Dota, Heart of the Swarm beta, or Diablo 3 in Anaheim?
I can't comment on any of those things, but anything's possible. Who knows? Maybe some other thing that we haven't even discussed yet shows up.
Well, I hope to see one of those there. I really want to play Heart of the Swarm without BlizzCon. I want to do some Diablo 3 PvP.
I'll see what I can do.
All right, that's good. So moving forward for the rest of the year, do we expect there to be any major changes in the way that the championships are going to go and the way the online qualifiers happen, or do you think it'll be pretty consistent from the spring championship on?
I think we like the system that we've come up with will work. It'll be good for the players. It'll be good for the folks who consistently place well, and it'll also be good, we think, to bring people in. So tweaking is always a possibility, but I don't see any major shift in direction or strategy around it because I think it can work really well. Again, what we want to do is we want to get the best players in the world playing consistently. We want to get them, so they know that there's an ebb and flow to our season in our arenas. Again, this is StarCraft 2 focus at the moment, but that's the goal. The goal is to get to a point where we have these guys playing and that it all feeds into these championships because these are the big shows. These are the ones that everybody travels for, gets out in the crowd for, and it's just a question of it all being linked together, but in a natural way, right? Not in something that's forced.
Do you feel like you've perfected the online viewing experience so far, or do you still think that there is room to grow and to improve?
I think there's definitely things that can be done, and we are doing. There's a few things we're looking at in the future in terms of delivery, player tech. It's just we're constantly looking to improve, and the thing about it is with the events come up, and you have to kind of put a pin in the ground and say, okay, we're going to come back to this because we've got to deliver a show, right? So, we're working on a few things that I think by the next event will dramatically open up some of the offering from the viewership standpoint. But again, it's also about thinking about the folks in Europe or in Asia and being able to provide them with an experience which, compensating for the time difference is as enjoyable as possible. So it's not perfected yet by a long shot, but I don't believe it ever will be. I think there'll always be room for improvement.
You actually announced a partnership with a French station to do some of the commentary in French for future events. Should we be expecting other languages to pop up, especially Korea?
There's definitely a plan to go beyond just French. The French partnership made a lot of sense for a bunch of reasons. Those guys were doing good work already. We could see French, you could see German, Spanish, Korean, Chinese. You can see several things. I mean, the idea is to provide access to this content in a localized form where it makes sense. We're going to see how the French test goes and then build from there.
I know the partnership with GOM ended last year, but now you seemingly have good relations with most of the Korean players in the Korean teams. Do you feel like you're able to now work with that largest StarCraft audience without the need of outside help?
And we have help. We have people who work for us who are actually in Korea, and we have good relationships with the teams and players. The point is that there's a lot of activity. So obviously there's going to be times where you're not going to be able to draw 100% of the players who might be interested in playing. But we are now focused on being able to draw from every region, right? Europe as well, Southeast Asia, not just Korea, and being able to handle those markets directly, because that's the way you kind of need to do it. Partnerships are fantastic, and we have all the respect in the world for GOM and love their product and love the people there. But we need to have a direct line to the players and to the teams in order to be able to operate. Middlemen complicate things. So I think we've made a lot of progress with them. I think the arena was a huge success in terms of showing them what we're planning for the year and how we're going to operate. And the relationships just keep improving. So it's good and everything. I'm happy with it. I don't think there's much I would change at this point.
And lastly, I'm big on predictions. Me, DJ Wheat, and Sir Scoots do them all the time on Live on 3. I could safely say their prediction, Stefano is out of the tournament, while mine, Adongray Gu, although he lost in the winners finals, still have a very good chance to make it. The last time I asked you for your prediction, you got it 100% correct, predicting Marine King to win the Winter Championship. So now I got to ask you again. There are a few players up in StarCraft 2, and I think the Halo finals are between Instinct and Status Quo. What are your predictions for each of those games?
I think Marine King's been playing really well again. I'm not sure the Huck series was tied up, but we could see a repeat of the arena, which would be really interesting, especially. It depends on what's happening with Huck, obviously. So I think it would be really great to see Marine King win in front of a big crowd, though. I really do, because I think the arena, that was the one thing that was missing for him. And DRG now is in a position where he's got to fight back. I mean, he's more than capable of it. But I'm going to go with Marine King just because he seems to have, I don't know, he seems to just be countering everything that's thrown at him, to be honest with you. And then on the other side, I got to go with Instinct just because I think they're stacked. I think they're the best team out there right now, and from a talent perspective and experience.
Well, I must say there's a pretty good predictions. I'm going to be pretty salty if you end up getting 2 right in a row and I don't. But, I mean, as we've established, you do get it. So, I mean, I wouldn't expect any less. So thank you for the time, Sundance, and I hope everything else goes as well as it does and that your tooth feels better.
It will. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.